I started posting content 3 years ago and I've built multiple different personal brands and booked over 250 sales calls from organic content alone. And if you're posting content and you're struggling to get results, actually struggling to get some sort of business impact from it, the problem is not in the video or the algorithm or how you're actually making the video in the first place. Economists have studied this exact problem for decades and I'm going to reveal it to you right now. And I'll walk you through exactly what the real problem is and how to fix it because nobody in this business space is actually talking about these things. So if you have been posting content, one major thing that you would have run into is that you have seen videos previously, maybe like 2, 3 years ago, of like Eman or something, wherein he's pitching a info product at the end of his YouTube video. And so everybody saw that and they decided we're going to replicate this exact same system for ourselves. So what they did was that they started making YouTube videos, and towards like the 50% at the end of the video, they started pitching their products, saying that if you want to work with me, click the first link in the description, all of that stuff. And now, if you go in the big 26 and you try and do this, it doesn't work anymore. Your conversions have dropped. People are not wanting to watch your VSL anymore. And mostly everybody online is going to talk about this concept of trust. That is, they're talking about there is a trust recession. There is a trust recession. I used to talk about this exact same thing, that there is a huge trust recession. That is why nobody actually wants to watch your stuff. But in reality, there are people in your niche who are making the money you want to make, who have the business you want to have, and who have the brand that you want to have. So the analogy that there is a trust recession and everybody's suffering is actually completely false. The real problem is signals. Now, if you know anything about signaling theory, you would know why I'm talking about signals in the first place. But if you don't know what signaling theory is, let me just explain. We as humans base judgment based on the signals that we receive. Now, what that means is that once, for example, let's say you're in a jungle, right? You're on a safari, you're in the jeep, and you hear a very ominous roar from, like, the back of your jeep. Your mind is going to assume it's probably a tiger or a wild cat, a predator who's growling at you. It could very well be just somebody playing reels on their phone. But the fact of the matter is, our brain is optimized for efficiency. And the size of our brain is in such a way that we are looking for efficiency in every aspect of our life. So now what happens is that you are processing everything based on the signals that is being given to you. Now, the key thing to understand is that we value signals based on the cost it takes to acquire them. If I have to give an example, let's say you do a simple bachelor's degree from a random college from wherever you live in, and you do the same bachelor's degree, someone else does the same bachelor's degree from Harvard. People are going to value the Harvard degree more. And the reason being that it is costly, obviously, in terms of the money, but obviously it's harder to get into Harvard. And so, because it is hard to achieve that thing, it's assumed to be more valuable, when in reality, both of these degrees are full of shit. They're absolutely useless, right? This is the key thing that I want you to understand. When if we look at the time duration from 2023 to 2024, this was the period in which personal branding was the easiest thing to do. Because here, the signal or the cost to actually showcase value was extremely low. We're talking about an era wherein ChatGPT or AI wasn't really as good as it is right now, right? We're talking about that era. If I have to give an example, it would be an Eman video. The lighting, the red and blue side lights, right? You've seen those videos. Those were extremely unique and hard and premium. That's why those videos work to actually get the attention that you need. Because the cost of actually showcasing these signals was expensive. Now, the problem is that we don't assume information to be costly anymore. We don't assume that information is going to be something that is going to take a lot of money to acquire. Information is at our fingertips. And because information is at our fingertips, it is extremely hard to differentiate your brand. It's the exact reason why you making the same video just does not get the views it used to get before. It just doesn't. And the singular reason behind it is the fact that the signals that your viewer assumes to be costly are not what you think. As a founder, as someone who's posting videos, one of the key problems we run into is that we assume what our audience will like, or the worst one, you start posting the content that you like to see for yourself, not what the audience actually wants. And once you run into this trap, you're going to be in a very fucked up scenario, because you're going to be in a scenario wherein you're conveying the wrong signals, you're conveying cheaper signals, because of which people assumed you to be just like everyone else. This concept is also known as the cobweb effect. Now, what that means is, let me give you an example, right? Let's assume that year one, you are a corn farmer and you see that people are selling corn for very expensive prices. And so, because you see that this year's harvest was sold at a very expensive price, when the next year rolls around, you decide to plant more corn. But the key thing is, you're not the only person who has a decent sense of common sense. Everybody else who is also a farmer sees this, that corn sold for a lot of price, and so they decide the next year's harvest they're going to plant more corn and sell more corn. But because everybody started planting more corn, the next year the prices dropped because there is a huge amount of supply over demand. And the reason being why this happened was because the farmers looked at the lagging signal. If we really think about this, there is 365 days that are between 1 year and another year. And because there is 365 days, it is not a great indicator of what you need to do for the next year. If you look at what is working this year and you try and implement the same thing next year, you're way too late. You're looking at a lagging signal. This is exactly the problem with your current niche, is that everybody is looking at the lagging signal, because when everyone copies the winning move, it stops winning and it merely just qualifies you to run in the race. And because of this, it takes all the running for you to do to just be in the same place that you started in. And if you don't do that, you're going to be left behind. That's exactly what is happening right now. And one of the key things for you to understand is reference dependence. Now, what does that even mean? Is that we tend to believe that the viewer is going to judge your videos based on the past video that they watched or the last video that they watched of you, when in reality, that's not the case. Let's assume your viewer watched around 10 videos before they clicked on yours. They are going to now judge your video based on the last 10 videos and not the 10th video that they watched, if that makes sense. So what they're assuming and what they're basing your video off of is the congregation of their experience of watching the 10 videos. And so what you need to understand is that when you're creating any piece of content, let's say you're making a YouTube video, you're not competing against one singular video that they might actually watch. You're competing against the congregated experience of the past 10 videos. And because you're competing with the congregated experience of the past 10 videos, your video needs to have a higher payoff than these 10 ones. Otherwise, they're just not going to look at you. This is exactly why getting attention and actually growing a brand is getting tougher and tougher, because the congregated experience is not getting paid off in the video that they're watching. And because there is so many videos being uploaded every single day, it gets harder and harder for you to compete based on the front end marketing of things. So usually what people will do is that if they want to compete against a video, if they want to like really make this video go viral, they'll focus on the packaging, the thumbnail, the title. Very important. Obviously very important. It's extremely important to have good titles and thumbnails. But what they don't understand is that you're not competing for this video on the home screen anymore. That's not the game. The game is that you're competing against the congregated experience that they've had. They've watched 50 videos before yours. You're competing against that experience that they had. And if they had a good experience, you need to have a better payoff. So what you need to do to actually fix this issue wherein your videos are not actually converting into sales, it is extremely important for you to focus on a few key things. The number one thing is the format of the video. Now, and by format, I don't mean a Miro board video or like, sitting down with an iPad or some shit like that. What I'm really talking about in terms of format is the experience that you want to give the viewer. So for example, it's very easy for everybody to make Loom Miro board YouTube videos wherein they have like a Miro board diagram and they're walking you through the entire process and showing you everything. And it's extremely easy to make those. The only way you can differentiate if you really want to make Miro videos is the Miro board itself, how aesthetic it looks, how beautiful it looks, how easy it is to consume. If you can create a unique style of a Miro board for yourself, that is actually going to be beneficial for you because that is going to help you to stand out. But just creating Miro videos is not going to help you. That's exactly why this video is very structured in a different way than you've watched before, because I looked at the working format of Miro videos and I decided to put a spin on it so that when you watch this video, you have a somewhat different experience than watching all the other videos related to Miro boards or related to any sort of process that you've ever watched. And because of that, there is some level of differentiation I'm creating in your brain. Because once you have a format that is unique, it is expensive, it is costly, and you're conveying to the viewer that this is a costly signal, hence why they should actually listen to you. That's actually going to put you at an advantage. Ricardo explained this is that value doesn't come from effort or quality in isolation, it comes from scarcity relative to demand. People never settled near the land because it was very fertile or it was easy to grow. It was only valuable because there was so much of it. If there were billions of rivers running through your country right now, land near the river wouldn't be as valuable. The only reason why it was considered valuable was because it was hard to come by. The value of the video that you post is proportionate to how rare it is for your viewer to come across it on their feed. If it is value that they can easily come across multiple times, it's not considered valuable anymore. And so every single video that you need to post needs to make yourself scarce. That the information containing in the video is super scarce. That's why you need to watch it. I could have made this video talking about that you need to have a different format in a video, or I could have shown you a format of a video that could have worked very well for you. I could have made a simple Miro video, with a Loom video, with my Loom recording software or whatever. But I decided that I wanted to give you some information which was unique, which was different. Hopefully, I did a good job. But because you probably understood a lot of these concepts and because you were like, okay, shit, this makes a lot more sense now, and you got clarity on your problem, there is a certain level of trust that I'm generating in your mind. And the people who are at level 3 of my audience are actually going to convert. I'm going to shamelessly plug myself here, but if you want me to install an organic sales system for your business specifically, in your business, done for you completely from scratch, click the first link in the description. It's a VSL. I'll promise you, I'm trying to sell you something. So it's a VSL explaining exactly what that means, and I don't really need everybody to book in a call. You can book in a call if you want to. I don't really care. I just want to give you value. Hopefully, walked away with something from this. If you really want to know more about my story on why I do what I do, you can click this video on your screen right now. Take care. See you soon. Peace.